Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. I bet you guys didn't think I was coming back. I wasn't sure if I was either, to be honest. And I did have one or two of you reach out to me and be like, hey, is everything okay? We're a little worried. So thank you. That was really sweet. Everything's fine. It's just life happened to some extent. And I unexpectedly went out of town, and then I just kept thinking, oh, I need to record. And then I just never did. I had some health issues, and it just didn't happen. And I kind of feel the way, you know how you feel when you unexpectedly sleep for about 12 hours or 13 hours. And it's noon and you're just kind of like, well, I guess my body really needed that. That's a little bit how I feel right now. Maybe I just needed to take a hot second from reviewing, from being on the channel, from YouTube, etc. And yeah, so anyway, I'm back now, and hopefully I can get back on the horse here. I have literally candles piled up here on my counter that need to be hauled, and I can't burn them until I've hauled them, and they've been here for a month. So I would like my counter space back. That's partly it. Second, I do have 9 or 10 candles that I've completely burned through, can be reviewed, and I need to just do that. So I will be trying to get caught up over the next few weeks, and I apologize in advance because I know some of these candles are just gonna seem very unseasonal. I mean, I have at least 1 or 2 summer ones in there. So feel free to not watch them. I get it. They're probably reviews for posterity more than right now. And I thought about just not reviewing them at all, and I thought, but why? The whole point is for you to be able to look things up on YouTube too when you run across a candle in the wild and want to know something about it. So I will go ahead and review everything that I have burned. I may not do empties this month because we're coming up on another empties situation here at the end of October. So I may just not do that and do empties at the end of November to kind of take into consideration everything and allow me to do some dedicated reviews before that point. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Just so you know, today we have some Kringle, actually. Excuse me, I just need to get some water here. And then I also do have some coffee and some, obviously, liqueur. So this video is brought to you by the letter B, which stands for Boom Boo. So it's actually, it looks like bamboo, but it's kind of like the Boom Boom cream from Brazil. Yeah, it's pronounced, I think it's pronounced Boom Boo, which is a cream rum. Well, it's actually just a rum, but this one is the Boom Boo creme. Yeah. Indulge your senses with a rare combination of all-natural Boom Boo craft rum, native Caribbean spices, and rich cream. Boom Boo Cream is an irresistible creation based on our original award-winning 400-year-old recipe blended with deliciously smooth cream, blah, blah, blah. Product of Panama. Okay, so that's what we're doing today. And let me open up this bad boy. Oh, it's been a while since I've opened this up. And pour myself some generous, whoa, it's a lot more liqueur than coffee, but you know how that goes. It's a Saturday. It's a Saturday, but even if it wasn't, you know what I mean? Oh man, that tastes amazing. Okay, so I do have a Kringle haul here for you. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 candles. And I know many of you will probably just not be interested in Kringle. I totally get it. I'm starting to repurchase some little things from Kringle, but I had a pretty hard no buy for a while from them. The problem is that at this point, the bar is so low of all candle companies put together that Kringle is just kind of in the mix again. We're back because the lowest common denominator has now been reached, where Kringle does just about as well as all the other really shitty companies now at this point. So God bless. What I've always really loved about Kringle is that oftentimes, I mean, they have had a few rough years lately where they've been doing a lot of really generic phoned in gourmands. But for the most part, what Kringle does really well and has done well traditionally over the last decade or two has been to give us really complicated conceptuals that you've never smelled before. And honestly, that's one of the only reasons that I would do this kind of mail order blind buy candle purchase, is because I trust them to be able to give me a candle that I haven't smelled before, that I can't just go to Bath and Body Works and buy something that is comparable. Yeah? Between us, and not between, I mean, I've been very vocal about it. I don't really think that there's any reason why you should mail order and pay those prices for a blind buy Kringle candle if it's just a phoned in basic gourmand that you can buy from Bath and Body Works. I don't see the point at all. It's my money. I mean, for my money, it doesn't make sense. And God bless, like if you've got that disposable income, like, and you want to make that happen, that's fine too. But for my money, don't spend money at Kringle for things that you could very easily acquire at TJ Maxx and Home Goods, a DW candle, a Bath and Body Works, like, just don't. Why would you do a Tuscany candle, from the grocery store? No, that would be a very unfortunate way for you to spend your Kringle money. However, these candles are actually really nice. So I bought these 7, to be honest. I was cajoled into buying them because it was such an amazing sale, and it was probably Labor Day. It's been that long ago that these have been sitting here. But they did have like an amazing sale, and I had just bought like Halloween stuff, so I shouldn't have been buying again, but it was just so good. And many reserve candles were on sale that I had always kind of wanted a little bit of piece of. And then I bought these like, these are send-offs, these little ones here, these limited releases are, they are pours of some candles that came out by Kringle like 10 years ago or so, before I was really hardcore buying from Kringle. And I loved not only the look and the vibe, but also many of the the fragrance notes. I've always kind of wanted to try them, even though they weren't readily available. So when they went for the repour, and unfortunately these are 100% soy, they're not the soy blend, which is what they originally were, I believe. I thought that at the price point that they were selling them at Labor Day, which I can't even remember what it was, $10, $12, like, I don't know. It certainly wasn't any more than 15. I thought, okay, I really want to try a few of these. So I selected 3 of them, and I want to talk to you about them. When I opened up this package from Kringle, I was actually really, really pleasantly surprised. I did have some disappointments with some of the Halloween candles that I ended up getting, but I was really, with the exception of one, I was not disappointed at all in these candles, and very, very happy with the smell of them. Now, performance is a completely different matter. It just is. Am I expecting glory and miracles from these candles once they're burned? Really, no. Absolutely no. Do I hope to be pleasantly surprised by the performance of a few of these? Also, no. I'm gonna keep it 100% with you guys. But is there a remote possibility that one of them will perform? I can't say that that is not a possibility. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a mathematical impossibility that one of these is gonna perform. And I'm just really, really, really hoping, crossing my fingers. In terms of fragrances and cold impression, I'm very happy with all of these, with the exception of one, which was kind of a surprise to me. So without further ado, and I'm sorry for this preamble, let me get into the 7 that I purchased. Now, one of them is kind of a repurchase because I did buy a daylight of it, and I knew that I really liked it, and I wanted to get it in a bigger situation. And then when there was that Labor Day sale, I was able to get one of these bad boy extra large ones, which I've never gotten before. These are 4 wicks. Whoa, look at that. I've never gotten one of these before, and it was on sale for like 18 bucks. And I was like, okay, yeah, I mean, come on. And it was one that I really, really wanted. So it was just a no-brainer. And I almost bought 2, but I was like, limit yourself, limit yourself. Are there chances that even with this diameter and with these kinds of wicks, you're still gonna get just a very moderate strength and throw? And you're gonna think to yourself, why did I buy 2 of those huge ass candles? And also I don't need any more candles in my house. So I did limit myself to 1. So the candle in question here is Spanish moss. Oh my gosh, guys. Riley, shout out to you, my friend. Riley loves this candle and has been recommending it to me for a while when I was on a strict no-buy from Kringle. She knew I would like it. She was not incorrect. And she has bought several of these large ones. I mean, God bless. I just was not going to spend that kind of money. I just was not. I wasn't spending any money at the time. So I'm so happy that I now have this bad boy for $18. Unfortunately, I don't think it's available anymore. It looks like it's sold out on the website. The only way that you can get this fragrance, I think, is in daylight and maybe in wax melts. Spanish moss, the notes on this one, by the way, I think this was a new release maybe in the spring. Which is a bit odd because I don't know that I would say that this is a spring candle. But at the same time, you could burn it in spring, like especially if it was very early spring, like maybe March, yeah? Because here are the notes: moss, floral, aromatic, wood, patchouli, musk. Unfortunately, it's a little bit of a Kringle phoned in kind of situation. I printed out these scent notes, by the way. Let me just see if I can find my Spanish moss one to see if that maybe on the website they gave us a little bit more. Hold please. No, they didn't. They just said that they just split them up into top, mid, and base. So the top is the floral and the aromatic. But like, why not tell us what the floral is? You know what I mean? Tell us what the aromatics are. Mid is moss and wood. Again, what wood? Base notes: patchouli, fine; musk, fine. All right, fine. But as you can tell with those fragrance notes, on paper, it doesn't look like a traditional spring candle. That said, the green element here, i.e. the moss note, is a really bright green note. Very bright, very fresh, very like lush. You know what I mean? Like it's not a like damp, cold weather kind of moss. It's a very vibrant moss that just gives you a lot of green. And in fact, if you didn't know moss, you would probably say that it's some amount of herbal and just like green leaf, green stem, possibly even like a palm note, you know, like a wild palm, you know, kind of note, which is really gorgeous. And because of its brightness, you could get away with this in the spring. You know what I mean? That said, it does have that bassy, musky kind of thing. If you're worried about the patchouli, I wouldn't be. This is not like a low, damp, dirty kind of patchouli. This is a much higher, brighter, and it's really just kind of mixed in with the musk a little bit. It's not a bassy candle. And in some ways, I kind of wish it was more bassy than it is. This is very mid-range, and the bright pop of the green, along with something that is herbal and almost seems, I hesitate to say mint because it's not really mint, and mint can overpower a fragrance. It could be a eucalyptus note. What do they say? They just say aromatic. I mean, who knows what that is? But it is a vaguely medicinal kind of herbal back note, which is very nice. And it gives it an austerity that otherwise I think it wouldn't have. I'm not getting a ton of floral in here, but certainly that wild palm note, it does have a floral aspect to it. And that floral could be, it kind of smells like a white floral. I don't know if it's aggressive enough to be like a jasmine, for instance, but it could be a lily. It's really nice. It's actually a really beautiful candle. I love my botanics, and this is a beautiful botanical candle. The strength and throw on it wasn't bad. I don't know that it was good either, but it was in a daylight. And I just think 4 wick should do well, right? Please let it do well. There is something very authentic and fragile botanical in this, which often means that it does have a little bit of a trouble projecting, but for authenticity, I will put up with a little bit less strength and throw, if you know what I mean. So I'm super happy with this. I, of course, would not burn this though at this point in the game. I would burn this in February or March. And so I will probably just hang on to this until that time, but for sure a very nice $18 purchase. So thank you, Kringle, so much for this, because I really, really wanted one. I just didn't want to pay that price, if you know what I mean. All right, so that's kind of the repurchase here. Then I have 3 reserve candles and 3 of these like dark ones, okay? So I'm just gonna, in no particular order except the order that I printed out all of these notes, let's just go into them. So that was Spanish moss. By the way, the blurb said, blurb says classic appeal of creamy magnolia. Okay, but see, that makes sense, that it wasn't like completely a jasmine or something like that, you know, but it was similar, and I said lily, but magnolia makes a great deal of sense. Anyway, the creamy magnolia intertwines with notes of earthy Spanish moss-laden trees, warmed with whispers of leafy patchouli and crushed cedar. Oh, there's the note. Okay, cedar. Whisper is probably the right word there. And it says leafy patchouli, so we're even talking like not distilled patchouli, but they are trying to capture, again, kind of another botanical experience there. Guys, it's just not a basy candle. It's not a woody candle, really. It's kind of overwhelmed by those brighter mid-range notes. So cedar or not, I'm not getting a ton of wood there. Like I said, I do think that if it was a bit basier, it would give it a little bit more of a different dimension. That being said, a lot of people may not like it. That would maybe less mainline if it was basier and more woody. You know, it would be for a certain girl like me, but maybe not necessarily for if you know what I mean. So there is that. Okay, so the next one here on my list, oh my gosh, guys, I was so pleasantly surprised by this one because I was wincing and thinking to myself, I don't think I'm gonna like this, even though many people have recommended it to me, and also because my channel is called Coffee and Candles. I should be reviewing this candle, but I couldn't bring myself to. It was on sale, I got it, I'm really happy I did. Pumpkin Spice Latte. So this was a reserve candle that I think came out last year, and maybe like last year in the fall. And I just couldn't bring myself to get it because first of all, I could not get a good read on what it actually smelled like. Having watched all the ambassadors, everybody who, you know, bought it, some people said it had no coffee in it. Other people said it had mostly coffee and wasn't sweet. Like I couldn't get a read on it at all. Also, between us, I don't really drink pumpkin spice lattes. And I also weirdly, and I may be the only one in the world in this respect, I think that the Starbucks one smells disgusting. Not quite as disgusting as a gingerbread latte, which does take the cake for most disgusting seasonal latte smell in the world. But I do think the pumpkin spice latte does not smell good. And have never been tempted to try one of them. So, and I don't really like the pumpkin spice latte from Bath and Body Works either. So I'm kind of more of a black coffee girl. I just thought this is gonna be a no. It's gonna be a no for me. I am so glad that I got it though. It was on sale and man, I like the smell of it. It's great. Because the coffee note here is robust. It's mostly coffee. And it's one of those really deep roasted coffees that has kind of like a vague cocoa-like richness to it without being really cocoa. And the nutmeg note in here is also very pronounced. So let's see what the blurb says. It says, pumpkin spice latte is the essence of cozy fall mornings where warm nutmeg, and cinnamon blend seamlessly with rich coffee and spicy clove. Folks, it is a spicy kind of candle with a lot of I mean, it's really more of a spiced coffee than it is like, although I guess that's what pumpkin spice is. Like, you're not gonna be able to smell or taste the pumpkin in a pumpkin spice latte, right? Right? Question mark? I don't know. I should be an expert. But I don't drink those kind of coffees. I just don't do that, right? Yeah, I mean, this really is a very spiced coffee. I do think there is a carameled, almost butterscotch note to this as well that generally I wouldn't like, but seems to go very, very well with this. It gives it a lot of warmth and kind of a sumptuousness that those of you who might be a little bit more shy about the strength and the austerity of that kind of a deep roasted coffee note is gonna really like cut that for you and make it a little bit more pleasing. For those of you who only like sugar coffees, this might be a little bit too harsh for you. Woo! And it does have that spicy component. Like I said, I'm mostly smelling clove. I'm mostly smelling nutmeg, which is nice because nutmeg needs its due. And nutmeg is one of those notes that often doesn't come forward quite as well, either in home fragrance or frankly in like baked products. You know, you've got to put a lot of, nutmeg in something sometimes for it to be able to compete or sound, especially against a clove or a cinnamon, which reminds me, by the way, I bought this Wegmans pumpkin pie the other day, and I don't know that I like it. And it does have an extremely pronounced nutmeg note, and I do love nutmeg, but dare I say it, I think it may actually have too much nutmeg in it. It almost goes like metallic and bitter. It's very strange. So I suppose nutmeg does need to be balanced out as well. Anyway, this has an enormous amount of nutmeg, especially on the back note. The back note is almost all, so I would say your front note is, or your top note here is that like carameled butterscotch, deep, almost harshly roasted coffee. And then the back note is this nutmeg note. Oh man, that is amazing. All right, so it says, anyway, a creamy vanilla base adds a smooth, indulgent finish, perfect for savoring the season. The top notes are nutmeg and cinnamon. Yeah, I think there's some cinnamon in here. And there might be some clove as well. It does have a very like punchy kind of vibe to it, but that's also coming through with like the actual coffee beans itself. The bin notes are coffee and clove. Base notes are vanilla and cream. I am kind of surprised that they're not calling out some sort of butter or caramel or butterscotch note, because I feel like I'm getting that. But who knows? Maybe it's not in there. And I do feel as though a lot of people would really enjoy calling something like that out, And it's also a little bit unique for a pumpkin spice latte. It works. It works. It's good. Oh my gosh, I was watching Project Runway. The most recent season of Project Runway was terrible. Terrible. I mean, kind of like, what was that Sex and the City spinoff? And Just Like That. It's like, and Just Like That levels of obscenely bad. That was how Project Runway was. And I've been watching Project Runway since season 1. Season 1, we're now in season 21. So yeah. At any rate, the only really bright moment for me in Project Runway for this season was that in the very finale, they invited Michael Kors to come. And I love Michael Kors, and he was so fantastic Michael Kors was like, he was talking about like, you know, some model and some outfit. And he was like, it's the right girl with the right outfit, with the right vibe, etc. And actually Michael Kors, that's a trope for him. He often would say that kind of thing whenever he liked what he was seeing. He would say something like, it's the right girl in the right look with the right accessories, going in the right place. Yes, it's a yes for me. That is very much how I feel about this candle. I mean, it's a pumpkin spice latte that like has everything going for it and is a little on the unique side. It's a little unexpected as well, but it's like the right vibe with the right fragrance notes, and it just works. It just works. So anyway, I do recommend this one. I don't know how it's gonna burn, so I'll definitely let you know in that respect. I'm trying to burn through a few of my like remaining Halloweenish candles here because it is the week of Halloween, but definitely after Halloween, like first week of November, I'm gonna be dragging this one out, especially because it's a very dark, like caramelized kind of pumpkin spice latte take. It really does travel very well deep into the fall season as opposed to whenever it is that Starbucks brings this out in July or whatever else, you know. This is a deep pumpkin spice latte as opposed to like a July one, you know. All right, so let's move on to the next one, which is, let's just stay with the reserves. So hold please while I switch my little things around. Okay, so the next, I've got two more reserves here. And these are reserves that go back even further, I think, than pumpkin spice latte. This one is Gilded Leaves, looks like this. This was a reserve that came out, it wasn't last year, I think it was the year before that. And I really wanted it, but I was not about to pay the prices that they wanted for this one, especially because you just don't know what you're getting. It's as simple as that, you know? So, one of the first few times that this has been on sale, man, that label is crooked. Do you see the crookedness? I don't like that. Come on, if you're gonna call it a reserve and pretend to all of us that it's premium, like that's crooked on the bottom too. All right, God bless. Gilded Leaves. I thought I probably wanted this one, but I was worried it was just gonna be a men's cologne. And to be honest, sometimes like watching the brand ambassadors, I could just not tell. I could not tell if it was just straight up a men's cologne or not, you know? So the notes on this one, and it didn't help that on paper it looks like it could just be a cliched men's cologne. Top notes, autumn leaf, which is a fantasy note. Mountain laurel is not a fantasy note. Berry bitters. I mean, that's great. You could just stop right there. Mid note, this is one of those like, they really kind of gave a fuck, like kind of, you know, scent notes. Sometimes it's just not. And then randomly you'll get a Kringle candle where it's like, somebody actually took some time here and I appreciate that. Mid notes, tobacco leaf, fresh hewn cedar, glistening amber. Base notes, earthy patchouli, vanilla musk, and sandalwood. Guys, I like that. It's efficient. It's good. You've got some adjectives in there, but it's not too many. Like that's great. Okay. But as you can see, we've got mountain laurels, berry bitters. We've got tobacco, cedar, amber, patchouli, musk, sandalwood. I mean, this could just be a men's cologne. Now, in the favor though, we don't have any kind of bergamot or some other sort of citrus note that would just reads as a straight up cologne, right? The scent blurb is an elegant fragrance for fall with the notes of autumn leaf and glistening golden amber. Elevated nuances of tobacco leaf, fresh hewn cedar, and patchouli add a grounding woody facet, while fresh mountain laurel, berry bitters, vanilla musk, and sandalwood complete the fragrance with a signature twist. All right, so that's your blurb. They're just basically, you know, it's like a chat GPT rendition of all of those notes. I don't know that anything was added. Oh, it's really nice. Yeah, it's really, really nice. And it's not overwhelmingly bassy or masculine. I mean, it's definitely earthy and it's definitely outdoorsy. It's definitely fall, cool weather, but it's not, frankly, it doesn't smell overtly like a personal fragrance or a perfume conceptual or a cologne conceptual, which I really appreciate. Oh, thank God. People, and by people I mean candle companies of the world, conceptuals are so fantastic, but it doesn't have to be a perfume or cologne conceptual to be a conceptual, yeah? Way overdoing the perfume and colognes. This is a very strong tobacco note, but it is so beautifully balanced with many other things that are giving it an intensity and a depth that otherwise would just be kind of like, oh, jazz hands, I'm tobacco, you know, but without giving us anything else. And then it kind of comes across as more of a, not a novelty candle per se, as just kind of like, I don't know, a gimmicky or one note candle, you know? I know that autumn leaf is a fantasy note because for the most part, leaves can't be smelled. Although there is, like when you have like a really big pile of like dry leaves, there is a smell that is kind of like brittle and papery and musty a little bit. You know what I mean? And there is some of that here. It's kind of like brittle and papery and musty. Not musky, musty, yeah? And then that with the tobacco note. So there is kind of like a dampness, an implied dampness, not only in the tobacco, but also in like the earthy leaves. But then there's this like dry papery note too, which makes it not unpleasant. You know what I mean? It gives it kind of a warmth and a dryness that you kind of want, you know, that balances out that earthy, more dampness. There is a bright fruity note in this candle too, which is interesting and kind of pulls the entire fragrance in a different direction than just like a masculine tobacco patchouli kind of fragrance. Yeah, it like pulls it more in this more interesting, complicated direction. And that must be the berry bitters. And it is fruity, but it's not like a cliched fruit. It's not like a Bath and Body Works fruity pop. You know what I mean? It's like a very, it's bright, but at the same time it's muted and it's rich. Almost dried berries, yeah? But it still has that sweetness and that almost like floral like fruitiness to it. It does have patchouli, but it's like a higher, more refined patchouli. And yeah, there is a vague woodiness about it, but I would say less cedar and more sandalwood. It's a really beautiful fragrance. And because of the mid-range and the brightness of like the dried berries and the lightness of that and the paperiness, there is something that, while I wouldn't say it's a feminine candle, it definitely is more mainline, more unisexual, you know, in its aspect. It's not heavy in a very traditional masculine kind of way, despite the fact that there's the patchouli and the tobacco in it. And I appreciate too that Kringle hasn't gone the direction of like the really, I do like their honey forward candles, but they have matched up tobacco with a lot of like dripping honey syrupy kind of candles over the last few years in their Halloween and in their fall lines. And I appreciate that the berry like bitters is a completely different, it just marries with that patchouli and tobacco in a little bit more of an unexpected and, dare I say it, kind of organic way. It's just, I love it. I really, really love it. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I am a little concerned about strength and throw on this one, but let's see how it does. Let's see how it does. This third one is a reserve that I really was excited about, and it's the one candle in here that I do not like. I really don't. Many of the brand ambassadors did not like this candle, but they were kind of the brand ambassadors that, like, when they dislike a candle, it's very often a candle that I do like. And all of the things that they were saying they disliked about it were things that I very much like in a fragrance. So I felt fairly confident with this fragrance, but no, it's a real no. However, perhaps if it is burned, it will have a different aspect. So we'll have to see. I don't want to completely write it off. The candle in question is Red Maple, which was very polarizing the year that it came out. It was in the same collection as Gilded Leaves. And everybody hated it because they didn't like as Josh from Dutch the Fire Toys would say, the animalic ambergris. This has ambergris in it, which is a very kind of like a very deep, musky kind of note. And nobody liked it because of that. I like it personally, and I do like my musks, you know, so I thought I was gonna love it, but there's an aspect of this that I can't stand and I don't think was described very well. All right, so Red Maple, the blurb says, walk into fall with the essence of sparkling orange and jasmine. Folks, that's what I don't like about it. Why was nobody talking about the sparkling aspect of this candle? You all know I don't like the sparklings. Urgh. Feel the texture of red maple leaves under your feet while enjoying woody notes of cedar and fir like those wrapped in comfy saffron, fine, amber, fine, and vanilla filling the fall crisp air. So the notes on this one are top notes: jasmine, orange, saffron. Mid notes: ambergris, cedarwood, vanilla. Base notes: fir, moss, and musk. So most of those I really, really like a lot. Excuse me, now I have hiccups. Sorry, I hate hiccups, but I've just found that it's best to let them go. Let them out. Oh my gosh, my hair looks ridiculous. All right, so I like the ambergris, I like the cedarwood. I'm fine with vanilla, that's fine. Fir, moss, musk, yes, where do I sign? Saffron and jasmine, of course, that kind of harkens to like a Baccarat Rouge vibe, whatever. Orange is a question mark. I don't know how orange fits into all of this, right? But on paper, it looks like something I would like, and I thought I would. Oh, God, that's revolting. So I do think the note that everybody hates in it is the ambergris. And the musk. And I do think the jasmine and the saffron are also contributing to amplifying the ambergris. That part of it, actually, I don't mind. So the part that everybody disliked, I think is fine and great and very, not mainline, we'll put it that way. It's got a very animalic aspect to it. What I can't stand is the top notes here. And I guess it must be the orange. But to be perfectly honest, it smells to me like alcohol. I mean, it's just straight up alcohol. And by alcohol, yeah, I mean, possibly like a very young whiskey, but it's like almost levels of like rubbing alcohol. That kind of level of alcohol. And it's just disgusting. That combined with the ambergris is like, what the hell am I smelling? This needs to not be smelled by humans. What is this? And honestly, it's that alcohol thing on top that is like really the most off-putting to me. Obviously with that ambergris note, and yeah, I think it does have some fir down below, but it's being overwhelmed by all this other stuff. you got to be careful with what you like match that up with and what you balance it with. But you're not going to balance anything with rubbing alcohol on top. You know what I mean? Why also would you have a rubbing alcohol note? Also, it's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. And there's nothing here that would imply that there's a boozy note or I think it is the orange up against something. Oh, it's really bad. It's really bad. But I am gonna try to burn it and see what happens. Surely it won't smell that way when it's burned, right? 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 I don't know. Folks who had red maple, please let me know. Let me know what your mileage was on that. Yeah, I'm gonna try it, like why not, you know? All right, so that leaves us with our beautiful little ones here. Now these are 12 ounces. They were limited edition. I really kind of like this look actually. I'm not a huge like reserve black kind of person, but it really works with these little ones with the gold lid and that like label with like the gold little accents. And look at that sugar skull there, the sugar skull. Mort, death. Oh, that's so pretty. I really love this vibe. I love this look. I really, really do. Anyway, let's start with this one actually. So this is Mort, which is death, and perfect for this little week. Maybe I should lit this one up. Although if I recall, none of the 3 candles that I bought in this collection, the fragrances themselves were not all that spooky, and a few of them were actually a little bit more springy. So that's a bit odd. I don't know that they necessarily match the vibe, you know what I mean? Although I do find them to be very lovely fragrances. So Mort is green, spicy, floral, and sweet. A little death can be climactic. I don't know why we would describe death as spicy, floral, and sweet and green. The result, I could see them doing something like this, like the Gilded Leaves, and calling that death. You know what I mean? With the dried, you know, leaves. And anyway, the resounding notes of Mort are designed to charm you. Why would you be charmed by death? Well, maybe if they mean it like in a Day of the Dead kind of way. All right, anyway. Top notes are green, just indiscriminate. Who knows what that is? Jasmine and spicy, again, indiscriminate. Ugh, who are writing these notes? Mid notes are, okay, at least we have some specificity here. Jasmine, white flowers, and orange blossom. I love orange blossom and I love green. Base notes are white flowers, orange blossom again, and sweet. Just the adjective sweet. What a hot mess there. But I'll tell you what, I'll go a long way for a green fragrance with orange blossom in it. You know, like I was there. But would you like, I just don't think you would associate any of those notes with death. I really don't. Unless those of you who are Mexican, is orange blossom like a death thing? I mean, here in the States and in Europe, orange blossom is actually associated with weddings, number 1. So exactly the opposite vibe, yeah. And, you know, with a fairly like tropical like atmosphere, you know, I mean, where orange trees grow, you know, so you can have a nice tropical note too. And obviously that's where neroli comes from, which is another standby for tropical. But neither one of those like tropes to me read death-like. But am I missing something? Those of you out there, is there some culture where like orange blossom would be, at any rate, it's possible. It's not my reference point, and so this seems a little bit off kilter to me. But it's a great orange blossom. Oh gosh, I mean, you could just smell the pollen coming off of this candle. There is a lot of Jasmine, yes, but I would say like almost like a lily, kind of a lily note to here. It's like one of those dewy, very dewy, like orange lily, you know, like a tiger lily kind of smell, just super like fragrant, tropical, moist. Yeah. Oh, and I love that vibe. It does have some green in it, but it's kind of the green that you would expect kind of in a very authentically botanical tropical experience. I just would not have made this a death candle. This is like the opposite of death. This is like the first flush of spring, the first flush of that like first bloom where everything is just high and open to the sun and rich with heavy, frankly, with pollen and the dew, you know? It's a high bloom in a very tropical place. I do think that flowers are a big aspect of the Day of the Dead, but I'm not sure that they're these flowers in this kind of a vibe. So I'm confused by it, but I love it. This is definitely a March, April candle if there ever was one. But you could obviously get away with it in the summer as well. I just don't know that this is the aesthetic vibe that you're gonna want in the early spring and summer. You know, you could try it. You could try it for Lent, you know, kind of like a memento mori kind of thing. Because Lent, I mean, depending upon when Lent starts, sometimes if it starts early though, it's in February. And I just think that the high bloom of this is just not a February candle. You could get away with it depending upon your hemisphere. You could get away with it in like late March, early April. I don't know. All right, like I said, I love it, but kind of strange branding there. Okay, the next one is Antidote. And Antidote has this dragonfly on him. I'm not really sure why the dragonfly, but there seem to be a lot of question marks in this particular mini collection. You know what I mean? All right, Antidote, which is obviously like a cure for a reversal of various toxins or poisons, yes. Antidote is cypress, coriander, violet, sandalwood. Healing Antidote. All right, so your top notes are cypress, coriander, coconut, and sandalwood. I mean, I'm there for it. Think about like just the complexity of those fragrance notes, and I love all of them. Cypress, coriander, coconut, sandalwood. I mean, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I have to smell this, right? Mid notes, violet, ylang ylang, sandalwood, again, Kringle, and cedarwood. Base notes are vanilla, benzoin, and sweet. Okay. You know how Sean from Hearthside is always telling Yankee, hire me, I can help you. Like, I literally feel that way sometimes when I hear Kringle. Like, just, you know what? I'll just do it. I'll do it for free. Just send me the notes that you got from the perfumer. Send me your marketing. I will write this for you. I will write it for you. I will freelance for you. Please, please. Oh, it just makes the whole presentation, it drags it down to like a very amateur, unprofessional level, which I know that is not something that they want to invoke. All right, God bless. Oh, I love this candle. Oh. Gosh, that's gorgeous. I will tell you that the overwhelming note here, though, is almost like a cozy cashmere-like vibe. It's very kind of vanilla forward, and then it's got this amber note, little bit of sandalwood. Like it's an amber, sandalwood, vanilla, cashmere, cozy kind of note. with just a little bit of like brightness on top, which is almost a little bit herbal, kind of like a lavender note. But it's way up in the higher range and a little bit austere, and it just adds another dimension. So it's not just like mush and marshmallow. And then there's that, and it's just, it's really, really nice. So I guess it might be the cypress note. And then it does say coconut actually, which kind of fits as well. It's the coconut, maybe the ylang ylang and the cypress here, which is giving it kind of this like herbal dimension that almost comes across like a lavender note, but like a fairly austere one up against the really warm and sweet like vanilla, almost a caramel vanilla with the sandalwood. Yeah, it's just very cozy, but also like there's an assertiveness, especially with that like bright herbal note. Yeah, it's really nice. It's really nice. I like it a lot. This is kind of an all-season candle, to be honest. It's a conceptual, but it's an all-season because there is just enough of flashes of brightness and freshness to it. You could get away with it in almost every single season, including fall. You could do this obviously in January, February, and March very nicely. I would say this would be a lovely candle for those particular months, but you could also do it in the fall. And because of the freshness of that kind of flash of herbal, you could almost get away with it in spring as well. It's a really lovely candle. It would be a lovely like back bedroom kind of candle as well. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. Again, it's not dark or spooky or masculine, which is kind of what the branding is going for. Last but not least, we have Arsenic, and Arsenic looks like this moth, which reminds you of Silence of the Lambs. But Arsenic is also, of course, very famous from Arsenic and Lace. And the blurb says, those ladies in the old lace sure are persuasive, which is a very overt reference to, I think it's Cary Grant in that movie. Yeah, Arsenic and Old Lace. So Arsenic is supposed to be green, woody, patchouli, and oriental. Question mark. I know I'm going to air my ignorance here. And Pringle often will use this note, oriental, which is kind of a very old-fashioned word, which is not used very often. Do they mean by that a certain kind of oriental spice or set of notes? I.e., the only thing I can think is sometimes oriental is like some sort of white pepper combination. Is that what is after here? I'm not really sure. Please, if you know, like help me out with this. Top notes are green and woody. Again, no details there that we would actually need. Mid notes are floral and woody again, folks. No. Base notes, we have a little more specificity. Sandalwood, cedarwood, patchouli, although patchouli is misspelled. Musk, and oriental, adjective. Okay, God bless. I love it. You know what this candle actually reminds me of? It reminds me of Sanctuary, actually, which is that candle that was lightning in a bottle a few falls ago. That amazing, rich, vetiver, spicy candle that came out that was just fantastic. And I have several of them in my catalog, and I mean in my storage that I don't even want to burn because who knows when it'll come back. It was the last one that was like in, 100% paraffin, and I suspect they can't reformulate it for the soy, so it may just be dead to us now. That was a fantastic candle, and this one smells very similar. It's just a bit more muted, a little bit softer. Yes, but very, very similar. Very similar. Maybe this is the reformulation. Maybe they reformulated, like when they gave us Sanctuary, maybe it was a reformulation of Arsenic, which is a candle that they had done about 10 years previous. Yeah, very similar. For those of you who experienced both, are you tracking with me or am I like crazy? Like I said, a lot softer and a lot more muted. I mean, that Sanctuary candle will make your walls bleed. I mean, it's an aggressive, loud candle. This one is not quite as aggressive. And of course, it's being poured in 100% soy as well, so that could be part of it. Yeah, I do remember that the Sanctuary did have vetiver in it, but you know, 6 half dozen. It's got musk, it's got patchouli, although it's misspelled. Woody. I don't know what they mean by the Oriental. But yeah, I would say that if you like Sanctuary, you would like this candle a lot. If you didn't like Sanctuary or are afraid of it, I would recommend this one highly because I think it's going to be a little bit more of a palatable experience. If you think Sanctuary might be a little bit either outside of what it is that you're comfortable with in terms of like fragrance notes, or in fact is just too loud in terms of like strength throw. It's a very overwhelming candle. I'm not going to lie to you. Oh, it's beautiful, but I love Sanctuary. So there you go. Like I said, I like all of these with the exception of Red Maple. That it's just a hard no for me. But now since I have it, I'll obviously burn it, and we'll have to see how it transforms when it's being burned. Because that alcohol note is just so alcohol-y, I just feel as though when you light it, it's gonna burn some of the alcohol off. Like I just don't know how it's gonna smell like rubbing alcohol when it's burned. So I don't really know what's gonna happen once that's burned, and I'll definitely let you know. There you go, my friends. I know this was a super long video, but I haven't been with you for a while, so it's really glad to be back. I loved all of these. I think all of them are still available with the exception of Spanish Moss, which is only available now in Daylights and in Wax Melts, I believe. But it's a shame. I really hope that this one stays in the catalog or comes back. I don't think it's a good indication that it was way on clearance and is now sold out. But I thought that was really good. And I have to give Kringle props. They definitely have room for improvement in so many different categories. There's just no question. But man, what I've always loved this company for is giving us something unexpected. And I just love all of these candles. And I think that the thought and the care that is going into these fragrances when they do what they do well, which is conceptuals, they really, I mean, they're just amazing. And they fill a certain niche, I think, in the candle community. And even if it's a conceptual that doesn't quite land the way that you think that it should, you still have to give them strong points for creativity, for thinking outside the box, for trying something. And there are very few candle companies that can do that and do that as successfully as Kringle does. And I just love that. I absolutely love that. So thank you so much, Kringle. And I apologize for some of the snarky things that I say from time to time. I do think that a la Michael Kors, when I'm snarky, it is because there is something to be snarky about. So check yourself. There is some room for improvement here, but I hope that I have also been generous with my praise, which I think these fragrances are fantastic, and I don't regret that purchase in the least. And I think it's so fantastic. And honestly, if I had more haul experiences like this one, again, I would be more encouraged to buy on a regular basis. So all bets off with performance, and I'll keep you posted with those. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will be back. I will do some reviews. Like I said, I have like 9 or 10 candle empties here that I need to talk to you about, and I will in the upcoming weeks. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you in the next one.